Welcome to the Motoring Podcast, your weekly discussion of motoring news. This is episode 652 on Tuesday, the 7th of October, 2025. Hello, I'm Alan.
Hello, I'm Andrew. And this week you'll join us in asking at what point the industry starts to take cybersecurity seriously. In new car news, you'll find out that you've been given all that you need and nothing more. And in points of interest, you can learn about a British success story. See, we've searched for some good stuff.
We've searched long and hard for good news stories.
Yes, well, we will start with a bit of good news. And it is follow-up, still to do with JLR, obviously. The bits of good news to do with that is that JLR is actually now going to open up 500 million and put it into its tier one suppliers because obviously they've had over a month where they haven't had any payment at all, and that has had the known effects throughout the ecosystem. They're doing this. Part of the reason is, now this isn't good news.
No, this is shocking.
Well, is it though? Is it really shocking?
I mean, it's not shocking, surprising. It's just shockingly poor.
Yes, it is shockingly poor. We were saying last week how the government is going to guarantee 80% of a loan to a JLR. They've not signed that off yet.
No.
Because why? I mean, it's only another week. It's only another week of people not getting paid, of livelihoods getting closer to the wall, of people needing to pay mortgages, pay for fuel, food. Well, why? What does that matter? It doesn't matter. So who needs to sign something off?
Exactly. Someone commented on one of the, I can't remember if it was the short or if it was the full episode on YouTube this week saying that isn't Tata really quite a big company? Can they not afford it? If they're not prepared to put some money behind this, do they not see JLR as a viable business anymore?
Yeah.
All of them very good points.
Yeah, but let's not forget that JLR couldn't pay anyone.
Well, that was physically impossible. Yes, that's true.
Yeah, their systems were down. And also, as we said last week, the government backing helped them get a lower interest rate, which means they can get quicker on with recovering and helping their suppliers.
This also is true. Yes.
The other bit of good news, though.
Is it Asahi restarting beer production after a cyber attack?
No.
Oh.
The other good news is that JLR are going to start production on bits that go together eventually to make up a car. But they haven't confirmed when they're actually going to be making whole cars yet.
Me being silly last week when I'm talking about them all, switching bits on step by step by step. I knew there was a certain amount of truth to it even as I was saying it. But they're starting off with the Wolverhampton engine plant and then the Birmingham Battery Centre. And then they're going to be starting the stamping operations in Castle Brom, Hillwood and Solihull. And then will come the body shop, the paint shop, the logistics centre, all in Solihull. It is being phased, and that's the kind of order so far. Vehicle manufacturing, they say, will closely follow this, quote unquote, and begin sometime later this week. They'll begin with Nitra in Slovakia and then Range Rover and Range Rover Sport lines in Solihull, Hillwood to follow later.
Mm-hmm.
As ever, this Autocar article by Will Rimmel that has been constantly updated with the timeline is a cracking read if you do want to know all of the history.
Yes, and the production that we've just outlined starts on the 8th of October, so that's tomorrow as we record this, or if you listen as soon as it comes out, today.
Yes, and many people do.
Right, Alan, it is towards the beginning of the month, so that can only mean, can it not?
It can only mean that it is the SMMT new car registration figures for September 2025, the numbers you've all been waiting for. In September 2025, 312,891 new cars were registered in the UK. That is up 13.7% year on year compared to 2024. September, of course, is a new registration month. I can't even remember what the number is now. I want to say 75.
Yeah, it must be 75 now.
Yeah. Obviously, people were storing up vehicles for then. But not just that. The start of the month came just after the ability for manufacturers and dealer networks and potentially new owners to be able to apply for the electric vehicle grant thing, which the acronym of which has escaped me as I'm speaking.
ECG.
the electric car grant. Obviously, that you don't have to be the actual buyer or the first person named on the registration document to apply for that. As I say, dealerships and manufacturers can do that themselves. Something which I'm sure is in no way at all open for any kind of loophole or big dealer groups to take advantage of or anything like that.
No, that would never happen.
Don't wander off to Auto Trader and look for the number of vehicles with under 100 miles on them
in 2025.
registered in 2025. There are none. No. And they haven't all been registered since the start of September.
Yeah, I didn't find any that had happened in the last week of September at all. None.
And by the way, it was Andrew who went off and did this off his own back without telling me. And you'll never guess that if you'd asked me to name a dealer group, particularly a Scottish dealer group that would be doing this, amazingly, those were the ones that Andrew found in their dealerships. So there you go.
Anyway, back on with the actual numbers.
Back on with the actual numbers.
By saying what we've just said, we have given people some pause for thought when they hear all these numbers.
Yes.
And we're not saying this is definitely what has happened on a vast scale, but we did find a few of these things.
Yes, which is kind of what we said was going to happen.
Exactly what we said.
Of the 312,891 vehicles that were registered in September this year, the 45.2% of them were petrol, 4% diesel, 15.3% were hybrid electric vehicles, 23.3% were battery electric vehicles, and 12.2% were plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. Now, of course, the number that is expected of zero-emission vehicles by the end of the year is 28%, did you say?
28%. But there is abilities to
fudge,
manage that figure through spreading out spreading out over several years and stuff. It's not a strict, like it used to be, it's not a hard, fast line in the sand now. There is some
fudge
room for maneuver for brands. Look at me being the one who's trying to be all balanced and kind.
I know. It's making me laugh. Of all the different registrations, 41.9% were for private, 55.7% were fleet, and 2.4% were business.
That's got to be worrying. The decrease for private.
Yeah, it is. It's quite significant.
The actual physical number is larger, but the market share is down. Mm-hmm. If you haven't clicked the link in the show notes yet, you won't see that, but that's the reality.
Yes, the private number is up 8.9%, but the market share is down just under 2% between 2024 and 2025. Similarly with fleet, the number registered is up 16.9% year on year, but the percentage market share actually is only up 1.5%. Business consuming the rest, but very low in comparison.
Yep.
Top models then, a little bit of a spread of numbers here actually for a change. It's unlike last month where everyone was within about 1,000 of each other. And an interesting collection, let's just say that as a description. So in at number 10 is the Volvo XC40 with 4,942 vehicles registered. In at number 9, Volkswagen Golf, 5,147. In at number 8, the MG HS, 5,173. Everything's pretty bundled up so far. Number 7, the Hyundai Tucson, about 200 more. Number 6, the BYD Seal U. And at number 5, the Vauxhall Corsa with 5,841 registered. Number 4, the Jaiku 7. They are everywhere up here. 6,489. Number 3, the Nissan Qashqai, 7,218. At number 2, the Ford Puma, 8,310. And at number 1, the Kia Sportage with 9,455 registered.
Right, let's move on to the spreadsheet of doom and joy. And I will do the doom, as ever. And Arbath are down 79%, Citroën is down 36%, DS is down 93%, Fiat is down 39%, Genesis is down 41%. Ineos is down 41%. Land Rover down 29%. Maserati is down 16%. Smart is down 17%. Suzuki down 23%. And Other British is down 17%.
Meanwhile, on the up, Alpine up 843%. Bentley up 64%, BMW up 41%, and BYD just pipping Alpine to the post with the MG award for ridiculous percentages is up 880%. It's 11,271 vehicles registered, give just over 2.25% market share so far this year. That's pretty impressive. Market share year on year, by the way, being up 576%. Cupra up 29%. GWM up 68%. MG up 63%. Omoda up 300%. Peugeot up 43%. Renault up 23%. Vauxhall up 30%. Volvo up 23%.
Mike Hawes, Chief Executive of SMMT, has said in his closing statement, electrified vehicles are powering market growth after a sluggish summer. And with record zero-emission vehicle uptake, massive industry investment is paying off despite demand still trailing ambition. We talked about that. The electric car grant will help to break down one of the barriers holding back more drivers from making the switch. And tackling the remaining roadblocks by unblocking infrastructure investment and driving down energy costs will be crucial to the success of the industry and the environmental goals we share. More on that later in the show. Well, it's good to see a decent month.
It is.
How much of it was manifested is difficult to tell yet. Hopefully not much.
We'll see, I think, going through October and November. If there's a massive tail off, then I think we'll be able to go, told you so.
Yeah.
If not, then that's good news.
Yeah, if it is, then it's even more problems for the industry. And talking of problems, well, Renault has stated that they are looking to cut up to 3,000 jobs in non-production facing departments. This will all be part of a cost-saving initiative known as ARROW, or maybe if someone could do it in a French accent, it's something else.
These are the important discussions we had before the show, by the way. We couldn't work it. Well, we worked out why it was called Arrow. It was Arrow. Or we didn't know if it was really La Flèche, which is, of course, French for the arrow. But we assumed it was named as such so that someone at some point in a boardroom could say something along the lines of, the arrow is on target.
Yes.
And be able to run the full silly name for why the silly name was chosen.
And if the voluntary redundancy can be from the person in marketing who thought that up, that would be wonderful. We could stop all these silly names. However, this underlines what we were discussing last week when the news was not good at all. Renault got hit earlier in the year because of their stake in Nissan, which we've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But even if you remove that element out of it, they still were not doing great. They had a decline in net income. Therefore, they've got to save money. 3,000 jobs is a lot of jobs. And if you're not production front of house, that's a lot of people taking up other work.
Yes. And Renault at the minute, I think they have a pretty competitive range of vehicles out there, generally.
Well, it's better now they've got the 4 and the 5.
But I think that will help an awful lot. This is Renault Group. They obviously with Dacia is a very popular brand right across Europe.
Yep. This information is to be finalised and announced fully by the end of the year, it is expected.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, though, in the immediate term, a story from the Register saying criminals take Renault UK customer data for a joyride. I don't know why I read out the headline from the Register. It's a wonder there isn't the word.
Because it didn't say boffins, so it was a plus.
I was going to say it's a wonder there isn't the word boffins in there somewhere. Renault UK customers have been warned that their personal data may be in criminal hands after one of its suppliers was hacked. I'm going to say it, and then Andrew's going to say why it doesn't matter. This came from a third-party supplier, and well, it was the third-party supplier who was attacked and the data extracted from there, not from any of Renault's own systems, and that there was no bank details, no payment details or anything like that. It was, I've got a funny feeling, it was probably marketing data. The fact that it was a third party doesn't really make any difference because obviously everybody still views that as being Renault.
Well, Renault have passed on the information of people that they were given to this third party. It is Renault's responsibility.
Yes, it is.
And simple as, and whenever a representative of a company turns around and goes, oh, it was our supplier, not us, you turn around and you go back to them and you say, tough. I deal with you. I gave you the information, and that information is now out there because you, as the company, the organization, have obviously not done enough due diligence on your suppliers. Not acceptable.
Yeah. People have been sent letters warning them that their data may have been included or was included, depending on, I guess, which letter you get. Both Renault and Dacia as well in the UK.
Mm-hmm. Well, sticking with companies not giving a monkeys about people's data, let's move on to Digital Charging Solutions, who are a German-based electric vehicle charging point operator. And they have been hacked because of one of their service providers. See previous. This does affect people in the UK as Kia customers have been sent contact information to say your data may have been accessed by the cyber hack. What is interesting, though, when you read this article again from the Register, that it states that DCS stated that complete payment information would not be affected as this is neither stored nor processed on the affected databases. That is not what it says on DCS's own website. DCS's own website says, generally, it is neither stored nor processed on the affected databases, and then they go on to say, so nothing will have happened to it. That's not correct. If you are saying generally, then it means it can be. And if it means it can be, then there's a chance someone's got that information.
Listen, that lawyer was very expensive, Andrew.
Yeah, well, I'm just so bored of companies not caring. I'm sick of it. None of them care. It doesn't matter the industry.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it is. That's not aimed completely at automotive. Speaking of not caring, though, a story. It's on evpower.co.uk, but it has come from the charging platform Monta. They surveyed more than 200 senior decision makers at UK charge point operators, so EV charging operators, to find out how they were doing against the government charge point regulations and the 99% uptime and reliability required by those. It turns out that just 4% reported average charger uptime of 99.5% or above, which was the level most closely aligned to the regulations of 99%. 3/4 said they achieved uptime above 95%, but blamed external factors for difficulties in reaching the mandated performance. Almost half, that's 45%, cited slow maintenance response times as their biggest challenge to maintaining uptime, and more than 40% said they were limited by a lack of control over firmware and component durability. You should expect better chargers, shouldn't you?
Both those points, like we said with the data stuff, I don't care. I'm paying you for a service.
Yeah. Sort
your house out. Get your house in order.
Meanwhile, the last 41%, which will also anger Andrew, also said that grid and supply issues contributed to their below-target uptime. Obviously, ability to find reliable chargers is important in EV use and ownership, particularly if you don't have home charging. The outcome of this is that a certain Mr. Clues is feeling far less vilified than he has been recently whenever he's had EVs on test, which you will hear about at some point, and has generally had a miserable time using public charge points. And boy, have some of us heard about it. Seriously, though, the CPOs were also asked which elements of the new regulations they found the most challenging, and more than half of them said the 99% uptime requirement was their single greatest concern, followed by the obligation to provide round-the-clock customer support at 47% and the £10,000 penalty for failing to meet those regulations.
Well, this sort of ties into our final article of the first part of the show, because Charge UK, which is the UK charging industries body,
Spokes Group.
yes, they have come out possibly trying to preempt people asking questions, hard questions of them, to say that the growth of the EV charging network is in serious trouble of stalling and being hampered because of what is quoted here in this article by significant and unexpected cost hikes, which means apparently many charging hubs aren't running at a profit.
Now, they do have a point here.
Yeah, when we get into the details, they have a point. But we've known for some time virtually none of them run at a profit.
Yeah, there's the difference. Yes, practically none of them are. I think what's happening is that there's an investment now in obviously growing the infrastructure and the understanding that eventually they won't have to spend as much on the infrastructure. They'll get to the end of a growth phase where they're having to buy and build and all these kind of things, and we'll end up in a sort of business as usual general maintenance phase where, sure, they're swapping out, they're upgrading chargers, but they're doing it in a more phased approach as and when they need to. And so the actual capital and the investment costs will go down.
Because that was the problem, wasn't it? For who was the company on the motorways until they finally reached an agreement?
Oh, that lot. Ecotricity.
Yeah, I tried to erase it from my mind.
Yeah, so have I, because it's just horrific. They're not expecting to make gross net profit. Let's just say profit. For a while, be able to individual spots might be profitable once you've taken away that investment and installation charge. But the challenge they're having now is that there has been a change in the way that standing charges are calculated for sites. Now, originally it was calculated on the actual output and consumption that was used there on that site. And according to Osprey's head of external affairs, then the company for a typical, inverted commas, hub in the Midlands with 8 chargers on it has increased from £99 a year as a sort of, right, here's the basics before you consume any electricity, before you do anything like that, then it's £99 a year. And that has increased to more than £8,600 per year, based on the fact that now they're calculating that standard charge based on, well, this is what it's going to be like if you're consuming all of the power all of the time.
Mm. And that's only over 3 years, by the way.
Yeah, over 3 years there's been that increase. Supposedly, standing fees have increased by 462% for rapid charging hubs, 389% for slow charging hubs over the past 2 years. So slow charging ones are just, bring your own cable, poles with a couple of plugs in them type of setup. All of a sudden, there's this crazy increase in cost, which wasn't really factored in. And when you're talking about what we've done before, where people are saying, well, for the operators, one of the things they're worried about is, new regulation, new stuff coming along. It falls into exactly that. Because this, of course, they then have to go, well, we have to not lose as much right at the minute, or we have to at least refactor these into our fees. And of course, then the costs go up. And the costs go up, and that then deters people from buying EVs, and it has a knock-on effect right the way through the market. It seems kind of crazy that this is being allowed to happen at a time when, on the other hand, the government is trying to pay and subsidise and help these companies build new charging points, and then others are coming along going, oh, we'll have all that.
Yeah.
Away it comes. I'm sure National Grid is delighted by all of this.
Mm. You can't mandate and legislate for a change that is as large as what is happening in the car industry and not appreciate the wider consequences. And if someone external is hampering that steps need to be taken. And
it certainly looks like external companies take advantage in hampering that.
Yeah.
Anyway, that takes us to Guilt Minute, quick break in the show where we ask for a tad of financial support to keep the lights on, the hosting running. If you feel that the Motoring Podcast is worth a small consideration every month, then you can become a patron. Different levels of patron include different levels of commitment from us to you, including being able to watch the show recorded live. We also have a small range of merchandise in our spring store, from stickers to mugs and t-shirts. If you don't have any spare cash, we do completely understand. Then you can help us by following for free from a podcast player to receive every show as they're released, and by liking and rating the show, whatever way your podcast supplier lets you. If you've done all of that, and some of you do, so thank you very much, then the last thing you can do is to recommend us to your friends or colleagues.
Thank you, everyone that does.
Absolutely.
Okay, Alan, it is new car news. Do you want to take us on to something from Dacia?
Yes, the Dacia Hipster concept has been shown off. It's the first idea of something we talked about the other week, which was the e-car. The idea of a notional European car type setup, which is, of course, going to be ecological, electric, European, and something else beginning with E, if I remember rightly. I think there were 4 things.
Ever so affordable.
Yes. So the Hipster is just 1.55 meters wide, 1.53 meters high, and 3 meters long. So that makes it shorter than any car currently on sale. The idea is that it can seat 4 and can have up to 500 litres of load space with the rear seats folded. That's enough to accommodate a washing machine.
That's a very odd measuring thing. How many blue whales is that?
It's a big square thing that you can kind of roughly guess at it, get the size of. And the aim of the Hipster is to enable as many people as possible to access essential mobility. The thought is that the model would undercut the £15,000 Spring EV. It's packaged super tightly. I mean, it's little and chunky and Tonka-esque, which is cool. But the range, I think, is the one that people are discussing. The aim here, of course, is to make it as light as possible. So they tried to bring it in at under 800 kilograms, making it 20% lighter than the Spring. But the aim is to have an absolutely tiny battery if they could get away with it.
Yeah, they've talked about how the majority of motorists drive fewer than 24 miles a day. Combined with the weight thing, they don't have to overdo the batteries because they're saying, well, most people don't drive very far, so you don't need much range anyway.
The quote here is, let's go back to the essentials. What do we really need on a daily basis? And the battery and motor size are described as sized as needed. That's a curious one. I mean, inside is all super modular and all sorts of bits that seem to clip in place, like speakers and cup holders and stuff like that. And, phone mount. But that's about it. You get practically nothing. The aim is also things like sliding glass windows, using the app to unlock it rather than a physical key. That's kind of a line I don't like crossing.
No.
And all sorts of other bits. Loads of clever cost-saving measures here.
Yeah, I was going to say, the cost-saving ideas that they're exploring with this are really quite clever. How many of them would make it, I'm not so sure. But things like the rear lights, they're actually mounted inside the rear window, which lifts up as part of the boot. Therefore, you can save money and parts by not needing to put glass over the top of the rear lights because they've got the glass of the rear window. I like the idea of that. I mean, how you keep it clean and things like that's a different matter, but I like the thinking that has gone into this. You can see from the way that the seats are made up, they are, because you're not traveling far, how much padding do you need?
They still look more comfortable than the Ryanair ones I sat on recently, though.
Probably are, yes. There's that sort of thing as well. I'm really intrigued with the approach to this. I'm not sold on the 24 miles thing. I feel...
But nobody's actually saying the 24. Nobody's actually saying the 24 miles thing.
But Dacia have done this. They've got this ethos with the Spring is people don't travel, on average, the majority of people don't travel actually that far in car every day. And that's what they're basing this on. However, that is in complete opposite to 100 years of marketing to us to buy cars.
Yeah.
And that requires the industry to change its tact and start trying to get us to come along that journey as well.
There's a curious thing here, right? There's a quote. It says, Chief Designer David Durand told Autocar the squat, blocky Hipster demonstrates that the affordable cars can also be desirable, citing iconic utilitarian people's cars, like the Fiat Panda, Citroën 2CV and Land Rover Series 1 as inspirations. One of the things it's worth mentioning there is that none of those were city cars. Those are all countryside cars.
That's a good point.
Fiat Panda, not, sure, it's handy for nipping around the city, but even better at climbing up a little track to get to a farm somewhere, even if it's a two-wheel drive model. The Citroen 2CV is meant for farmers getting stuff to markets. It's not a city car. It's actually quite large.
Mm-hmm.
And a Series 1 Land Rover, again, not a city car. It was essentially more aligned with the Model T Ford, to be honest, as basically a multi-use tractor. And I think that's really where maybe we have to think about this, rather than thinking, well, it's going to be a tiny city car, so it needs tiny city car distances. It probably needs more than your 24 kilometres, because you might be going from outside a town into a town and home again, using it for your commute because there's no alternative public transport. There's a difference between suburban EV use and extra urban EV use. And I think that this and the inspirations behind it are all very much more for that sort of extra urban EV use.
Yeah. I like the look of this, actually.
I think it looks great, and I love the kind of blue and the purple, and I love it's all the same kind of colours as the Jaguar concept, but totally the other end of the scale.
Yes. Well done there, Dacia. Let's see how that influences them moving forward, though.
Another concept car. Andrew, you chose this. You can flip and explain it.
Yes, very much the most concepty of concept cars, and that's the Lamborghini Manifesto. This is apparently, according to this Evo article, a glimpse into an elegant future for their supercars. It is just a model that has been mocked up. There is no interior. There is no engine. They've thrown some wheels on it just to give you an idea. It's
a Hot Wheels car, everyone. It's one of those Hot Wheels cars.
Well, yeah, it is. It is a Hot Wheels car. It very much is a Hot Wheels car. And it's some of the angles I really love. Some of the angles I struggle more with, like the completely flat side profile. And when you're looking flat onto it, I struggle with that one.
It has very strong Countach lines. I mean, and Giugiaro inspiration, and hence the shape of the wheel wells and all of that kind of thing.
But this is apparently why I'm saying it's the most concept because it's a exploration that Lamborghini are doing to what could possibly be the future design language for the brand going forward. Because I mean, if you look at the front, you go, "Oh yeah, that's definitely Lamborghini," just more so.
Yeah, you look at the side, it's definitely Lamborghini, and if you look at the back, it's pretty clearly Lamborghini.
Yeah, I really like it, though, because if you're going to have a Lamborghini, it's meant to be the maddest of the mad, is it not?
It is. It is, and it's recognisably a Lamborghini.
Yes, while still being outrageous.
Well, that's it.
Or more outrageous.
Yeah, and it would need to be dialed back to become a production car.
Yeah.
It would at least need something approaching a door.
Yes.
Let's not even talk about door handles. There don't seem to be any doors on this. But it's cool.
Anyway, Alan, do you want to take us on to a sort of almost a list of the week, but not quite?
We're going from the sublime to the ridiculous. The What Car 2025 Reliability Survey is out, and things are not looking good for the Nissan Juke. It turns out if you have a pure petrol Nissan Juke, 24% of petrol Juke owners have reported some sort of fault with the car. And 3 out of 5 of those, so 3/5 of the 24%, have found that they were charged more than £1,500 for the remedial work. Now, if you're in any way familiar with the Nissan Juke, you'll understand that that's because they are an absolute, certainly the first generation, absolute sod to work on. I can kind of understand why the charges are quite high.
This is for cars up to 5 years old.
So up to 5 years old, okay. It also, 64% of those who reported a fault with the model had to also wait more than a week for a repair. It's worth mentioning, just to give an idea of sample sizes, the survey received 32,493 responses, as Andrew said, from owners of cars aged up to 5 years old. By the way, Nissan, not so chuffed with that Juke report. They say the Juke report is disappointing as it differs from our customer data and from other independent sources. And we're discussing this with what car? Discussing generally means, what the heck are you talking about? How dare you?
Yes.
Next worst was the Volkswagen Tiguan. 81% of owners reported an issue. Just 2/5 said reports took more than a week, though. And in all cases, Volkswagen covered all of the costs. There were previous generation Sportage, some owners there as well. At the other end of the scale, the current Hyundai i10, the current Hyundai Santa Fe, and the Toyota GR Yaris all earned perfect scores for 0 owners reporting any issues.
Well, I think we've covered all motoring needs in the UK with those 3.
I know. Well, I just said the i10. I was like, it doesn't matter. No, they never get driven hard or anything. And then it goes Hyundai Santa Fe, and it was like, well, that's fine. Of course it's not going to break. Then GR Yaris was like, oh, yeah, all right. Honda is the most reliable brand, followed by Mini and Suzuki. Lexus fell to 8th, tied with Kia, it seems. MG came in worst, although their score of 89% was a significant improvement on last year's 77%. And also at the bottom of the table with Nissan and Fiat.
Yeah, I don't know how they worked out those overall scores for the brands.
The weightings, I'm sure that many of the manufacturers who are towards the bottom end will be discussing the weightings of things, whereas people at the top of the table will be going, it doesn't matter, it's fine, perfectly reasonable weight count.
Yes. Right, I'm going to take us into points of interest, and we've got a lunchtime read from Autocar for a change. And it's a British success story. And it's celebrating 25 years of Ariel. It's written by Steve Cropley and Matt Pryor. They also had a podcast recently, I think.
I think they did, yes.
They were certainly discussing, but I think they actually had one to do with Ariel as well.
Mm-hmm.
You can check that out. But this runs through the formation of Ariel, how it came about, the cars it did, how it actually turned a profit from car one, which I think there's an awful lot of manufacturers out there who be going, please, how did you do that?
Yes.
and goes through to where they are now and where they're looking to move on with the new build and that sort of stuff. I think it's a fascinating read. I think it's brilliant to celebrate as a British success story.
Mm-hmm.
And Ariel is one car brand I really wish I could drive. I have not driven one yet.
I have a long time ago. And it was one of these, drive an Ariel Atom things. And I got given it as a present. And it was at Rockingham. And I'd never really driven on a track before.
Mm-hmm.
So I was terrified of being that guy. Because, of course, there was supercar drive things going on at the same time. And with hindsight, I did not press it as hard as maybe I would do these days, given I've got a lot more experience of that kind of driving and of twitchier, silly cars, really.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it was cool. The other thing was we had to wear sort of waterproof suits and helmets and everything. You didn't really feel as much of the outside as I think you could do, or at least that Matt Pryor looks like he is in some of these photos.
Yeah. But do check out the show notes for the link to that.
Yes, absolutely well worth it. List of the week. I know it feels like we've been like 17 lists of the week already this week, but this time it is from Classic and Sports Car, and they've decided to list the 35 times Mercedes-Benz got it right. And I think they are limiting themselves when it comes to 35 times when it comes to Mercedes-Benz, to be honest.
Well, I think they've included at least one car there that would never make my list of them getting it right.
Okay. Mr. Clues, assuming you're not choosing the A-Class, what's what have you chosen?
I would ask the ladies and gentlemen to open their slide pack at slide 24. And this is number 23, just to confuse things. And the Mercedes R107 SL from 1971.
Yes. So you're going full Dallas, are you?
Yes, I'm going full Dallas because it's not like their two-seater sports cars that are more modern, where they've tried to go pure performance and sporty carness. This is not a car for hooning it. You will make progress, certainly. It's more a GT than trying to beat to beat times or trains or things like that. I would feel that this is a much more relaxed and calm way to get about whilst doing it incredibly stylishly.
Okay. Yes. It's definitely a choice.
How about you then?
I am so stuck. There's so many good ones, and at the same time, I'm trying not to choose the very obvious ones, which I really, really want to choose because I really, really like them. I'm going to choose the Mercedes Grosser 600. It was deemed by somebody that it would be bad taste to choose some of the large Mercedes from the 1930s, so I didn't.
I nearly picked this.
There was a high risk that you were going to, yeah.
I like this a lot.
Yeah, so, Grosser 600 from 1964. I mean, just the most phenomenal vehicles, really. If you want, I don't want to fall back in the old cliche of saying, if you look up over-engineered in the dictionary, there's a picture of a Mercedes Grosser 600, because that's just irritating and stupid.
But the episode of Top Gear where Clarkson and May were trying to out-luxury each other.
With their own cars.
This was just wonderful.
The fact that so much of it is air-powered, so much of it is duplicated just in case somebody shoots out one half, just quite incredible. It was built for 17 years, so it's the kind of thing that would really drive some of us nuts on Cardinal every day. The perfect large car chosen by every dictator under the sun, and I just think they're great. They look so good. They're engineered so well. And they're just a moment in time. That's from those 1960s when this was what West Germany was doing.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing.
Absolutely. Cannot fault you.
Yeah, there's so many others on the list in there that are very, very good cars.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to round out the show with the "and" finally. And we are going to visit Petrolblog. And the title of the article that we're linking to is Petrolblog Revisited. Man buys Hot Wheels toy but fails to post photo on social media. Sorry if many of our listeners feel seen by this when they read it through. However, it is wonderful, obviously, because it's from Major Gav, and it makes some really excellent points.
That one has been shown on social media, though.
That was Alan was just showing me a model car in its blister packet.
It's a 2024 Toyota Land Cruiser still in its Hot Wheels premium.
You buy two, one you can open, one you keep.
I very rarely buy it. It's not something. I'm not actually someone who does that. It's just sometimes if I spot something which is particular, I'll pick it up.
Yeah. No, but this is great. There's a wonderful bit of tongue-in-cheekness about it. But it also gives us an opportunity to say, for those who don't know, but Club Petrolblog is now open again. And it will be linked in the show notes, a second article that will explain all this, because it only opened up in the 15th of September. And he explains what you'll get and how to sign up to it, which obviously all of us should do, and gives us an opportunity to promote a friend of the show and somebody who's doing something rather wonderful.
It's well worth it for the window sticker and the keyring alone, I think. Sorry, that's just me.
I agree with
that's what I want out of it. I think that's us for the week, isn't it?
I think so.
We have fought our way through the news. Not too wrist-slitty this week. Yay! Long may that continue. Whilst we're on our little cloud of joy, don't forget that between now and next week, you can give us any feedback and share your thoughts with the show at motoringpodcast.com on Blue Sky, at Motoring Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and on the contact page of www.motoringpodcast.com, the hub of all our activities. Remember, you can support us financially via Patreon, and please leave a review and rating on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever your podcast app lets you do such a thing. Andrew, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Best way to get in touch with me is if you search for Crack Windscreen on Blue Sky. Failing that, if you prefer LinkedIn as your platform of choice, I am on there. And Alan, if people want to get in touch with you and discuss more in depth about what the Hot Wheels was that you have selected and not opened yet, and so they can complain that you haven't opened it, what's the best way for them to do that?
Best way you can do that is on Blue Sky, where I'm at AJP Bradley, that's BRADLEY.bsky.social. As I said, we'll be back very soon, but until then, I've been Alan Bradley.
I've been Andrew Clues.
And safe motoring.